I'm Trudi Dempsey and I'm an IAABC certified horse behaviour consultant. Clicker training is just another word for something called positive reinforcement, and really it's just about the way we all learn. That's not just me and you, that's donkeys, horses, dogs, cats, fish. Clicker training fish, that's a good one. And it's really just a way of learning. It's an association for the animals so that you can encourage more behaviour that you want. So reinforcement just means you get more of the behaviour, and it's about adding something really nice that the animal will try to get more of by offering more behaviour in the future. So it's just another way of learning, and clicker training is a bit of a sort of snazzy name for it, but you don't have to use a clicker. It's about the donkey offering a behaviour and you offering something in return that they really enjoy. Clicker training for me is a great thing because you're putting the learning in the hands of your learner. We give the donkey a choice. So if the donkey doesn't want to learn anymore, it's finished. The end is there. And it's very easy to see because if the donkey doesn't keep offering you behaviour, you don't keep training. In pressure and release or negative reinforcement, where we might pull on a rope to ask a donkey to move forwards, even when we use light pressure, the donkey is working to avoid that pressure. So next time they do it more quickly because they don't want to feel that pressure on the rope. And very often we don't get the chance to give the donkey the choice. We just keep asking more and more. So with clicker training, it's really easy to see when your learner is on side or when they're not on side. Well, I think for any equine it's great, but it's a super fast way as well for horses who are particularly, say, nervous about being touched. It gives them autonomy. They can stand separately from the human and wait to get their click and not have to offer any behaviour to begin with. And very gradually you can introduce touch. You might introduce hoof lifting, you might introduce having a head collar on, and it's all for a positive outcome. It's all for gaining something rather than having the pressure of having to do it and that being released. So for me, it's just engaging the donkey or the equine learner in that little bit of choice over the situation. Okay, so in the first session that we saw this morning, we have begun the association of the clicker. So a clicker just on its own, the sound of a clicker means nothing. As I described to the girls, if a bell rang on the yard at 10 o'clock every morning and cream cakes arrived in the staff room, they'd be rushing in to get them. And very soon, at 5 to 10, they'd be hanging around the yard waiting for that bell to go off. Well, we're associating the clicker with the food that follows today. We're associating that bell ringing with the cream cakes arriving. And without that association, the clicker means nothing. So it's really important. And people ask, why do you use a clicker? Well, a clicker marks a moment in time that is so specific. It's really, really clean and obvious what the donkey is offering in return. And so it makes learning a lot faster and a lot clearer for the animal that's learning. Once that association between the click and the food is really well established, and that can take several goes for the donkeys that we've used thus far today, they've already had a little bit of experience with clicker and knowing that food follows it. The girls are learning as well, so that's really important that they get plenty of practice. So we'll be doing lots of different formats for the girls to carry on learning, but we're going to introduce behaviours that the donkeys will perform for the girls. So we've already done a tiny bit of offering a hand. Will the donkey move their head towards the hand, clicking and reinforcing them, so they begin to understand, I can actually do something to get the food, I can do something to get the click. And once your learner knows what learning's about, then your world opens up for that learner. So yeah, today we're going to be looking at as many different ways as we can so that we can leave the girls with as many tools at the end of the sessions today to go away and work with different learners. I don't personally feel there are any equines that couldn't use this way of learning. But, and it's a massive but, you need to have fantastic skills with some learners. And that is because they might have had a previous history where they've had very little food. So I'm going to guess here at HorseWorld there will be some equines that arrive who have a very poor relationship with food, that they are permanently feeling that they need to guard food that they're around. And in those situations, I'd be very, very cautious without an experienced trainer. But you can also train with scratches. So anything that the donkey or horse will work to get some more of can be a reinforcer. And we will use scratches potentially for those animals that really enjoy being scratched. Okay, I think the benefit for any learner, but particularly for HorseWorld horses, is that you see this change in them when they appreciate that when they're with a human, they can actually affect the outcome in their life. And that is choice. And for every single animal, I honestly believe that choice is the greatest gift that you can give them. Do you want to work today? Do you want to interact with a human today? No? Okay, that's fine. If you're pulling on a rope and they say no, that's a little bit difficult for the learner in that situation. But if you're saying, there's food here, but you'd rather go and eat your hay, that's cool. So it's introducing choice, and it's the brain training aspect. So for animals that maybe are a little bit shut down, when you start to offer them ways of using their behaviour to change their lives, to adapt to their environment, you start to see that learner come alive. And as some of the horses at HorseWorld are going to go on to wonderful lives outside of the charity in new homes, I think it's a fantastic way. It can also help with things like loading, so you can use targeting where the donkey will touch a target with its nose and get food for doing that, and that can be so wonderful to get them to move from places from A to B, for loading and for anything, any husbandry care that they have afterwards. So yeah, I think it can, there are so many ways it can help. Choice is the big one, but there are, in day-to-day life, there are so many ways it can help them.